Let me start with a short chant. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaskar, everybody. Um, Respected Professor Parthapratim Chakravarti, respected Professor Shabboshaji Dasgupta, respected Professor Devaprasad Chattopadhyay, um, members of the faculty, guests, guest speakers, and dear students. Thank you for having me here. So I'm coming to you from um, New York. Right now, I'm in the Vedanta Society of New York. It's early in the morning. It's 6:45 a.m. and also very cold. It's minus 12 Celsius outside, but I'm, of course, comfortable and warm here. Um, I was listening very carefully to the speech by Professor Parthopratim Chakravarti, and I think what I'm going to say now will be a good follow-up, a good segue from what he said. He mentioned that the way AI looks at the world is an alien view. We are all looking at the world right now. We are experiencing the world. The way AI looks at the world, maps the world, is actually very alien to us. And that's an important thing to keep in mind when we talk about artificial intelligence, artificial creativity, artificial, like a driverless car, driving a car. We seem to think that AI is doing something very much like us. But a scientist told me once that not at all. The processes by which AI comes to intelligence and other human faculties, the processes are very inhuman. They are not, it's not at all like we human beings function when we are, when we are using our intelligence and so on. So AI has a very alien view. But Dr. Chakraborty also raised the question of, who we are. He said, in order to understand what AI is doing, artificial intelligence, we have to first understand what is natural intelligence. In fact, we have to understand to think about the fundamental model of artificial intelligence. We have to first think about fundamental model of human intelligence and the fundamental model of what is a human being, what is an intelligent being, what is a conscious being. So I'll start with that, perspectives from Indian philosophy on who we are and its bearings on AI, and then go on to make some remarks about the impact, potential impact of AI on attention and our quality of life. So this is the plan for the next few minutes. See, one interesting thing is, as Professor Chakravorty was saying, why is it that we become so annoyed, so angry with, we seem to become very afraid of AI? One reason is it seems to be replacing something that is very close to our identity as human beings. Machines have already been replacing us for a long time. But the physical labor being done by human beings has been thankfully replaced by so many machines. And as the machines become more sophisticated, automation becomes more pervasive. Many of the activities which we thought were human are now being done by machines. But now what AI is doing is very close to our identity as human beings. For example, we think we are intelligent, but AI is also artificial intelligence. It is, even if it's not intelligent in the way we are intelligent, it is producing similar results. It is capable of imitating human intelligence and indeed doing a better job of it in many cases than we can do. Another area is creativity. We always thought whatever machines can do, at least creativity is something that is uniquely human. Human beings are artists and writers and painters, but now and poets. AI is doing exactly that. AI is replacing, or at least is able to write short stories. It's able to write, for students, the exciting breakthrough is that AI is able to write your assignments, your essays. And then I was shown a program where AI does paintings. AI is um, generating content which we thought would be the province um, of human beings. So that is a little scary. When I was first told about ChatGPT, I went to ChatGPT and asked it to write a poem on Swami Vivekananda, and it immediately wrote a poem on Swami Vivekananda. Um, not maybe not the best poem, but not a bad poem either. And then I told it to write another poem, and then it wrote another poem within seconds. And this is the unique power of the AI already as it exists. We have just heard that this is just early days in AI. It will become much more powerful over the years. But already what exists, if you ask ChatGPT to keep on writing poems about Swami Vivekananda throughout the day, it will keep on writing poems about Swami Vivekananda throughout the day, which no human poet can ever do. I heard of a magazine which used to publish short stories and science fiction short stories, and they had to shut down not because of lack of submissions, but because of too many submissions. And all of these short stories are now being written by AI. And it's ironic that it's a science fiction magazine. It's a bit of a Frankenstein situation that what you had predicted for many, many generations in science fiction stories that artificial intelligence will come along. And artificial intelligence has come along, and the first thing it destroys is that science fiction magazine itself. Um, Recently, I visited the Metropolitan Museum of modern art here. It's the largest museum of modern art in the world, including some of the classics of 20th century modern art. And the first thing you see now when you go in there is this vast screen which is displaying art created by an AI. An AI has been fed all the content of the modern art museum and then asked to generate art of its own. And so it's generating art. It's quite hypnotic, the effect. When you enter the museum, you just stand for a minute or two. I also stood there for a couple of minutes looking at this haunting display. Is it art? In one sense, yes, because it creates an artistic experience for you. But the way it is generated is utterly alien. No human artist ever paints in that way. So this is the question. What is unique about human beings? Is creativity unique about human beings? Is intelligence unique about human beings? All of these areas seem to be now AI is intruding into these areas. Is spirituality unique among human beings? What I do, for example, I teach Vedanta. Is that unique among human beings? Is it only that a human being, a monk, can do it? No. Uh, just a few months ago, I was shown this project done by um, PhD students at UT Austin, at the University of Texas, Austin, where they made a Sarvapriyananda AI. So what they have done is they have exposed that AI to more than 1,000 hours of lectures given by me. And now if you ask it any question, it will give answers as if it is Sarvapriyananda. And I asked it one or two questions. I think it gave better answers than I could give actually. And not only that, it has of course got access to all the material that I have spoken about. Plus, it has access to the entire internet, whatever the content is up to 2021 or whatever it is. So it has enormous amounts of information at its disposal. And it's one unique feature they showed was that the student, an Indian student who has done this project, she showed that when you ask a question to the Sarvapriyananda AI, it will give an answer and also show upon what materials it is drawing, from which lecture, where did I say such things, and then multiple lectures it is putting together and giving you that answer. So in one sense, the job that I am doing also AI can do in one sense. So what is unique? I am still talking about what Professor Parthapratim Chakraborty was talking about, the fundamental model of a human being. Now, let me put it to you. This is coming from an Indian philosophy perspective, from a Vedanta, Sankhya, Buddhism perspective. that consciousness is something unique. What do I mean by that? All of us, our life is based on consciousness. We are aware, we are having subjective experiences. We can see, hear, smell, taste, touch, not only behaviorally, not only in terms of the results which we give, but internally, inside, in our subjective life, we have a variety of experiences. We think, we remember, we understand, we suffer, we enjoy, we have desires, we feel frustration. All of these experiences are continuously going on inside us. This is called subjective experience, first person experience. Philosophers have a name for it, qualia. So, this first person experience which we have, and this is because of consciousness. We are conscious. Is AI conscious? No. Can AI be conscious? And the answer is still, the question is out there, but I think not. If you ask, why do you say that AI is not conscious? Well, I say you ask the experts. You have a room full of experts there. If you ask the experts in Silicon Valley, is ChatGPT conscious or are you working on a conscious AI? They will say no, because we have really no idea what you mean by consciousness. Notice, this is what an interesting thing, that you are able to model intelligence in AI. You are able to model creativity in AI. And of course, things like memory and all, computers have, even calculators have had it for decades and decades. So you are able to model all these human faculties, including some faculties which we thought were uniquely human. You're able to model these and produce similar effects, similar behavior in AI, except consciousness. None of this AI is even remotely close to having a subjective experience of self or of the world. Now, this takes us to neuroscience and to consciousness studies. There is something called the hard problem of consciousness. The hard problem of consciousness is basically this: how do you explain subjective states through an objective entity like the brain? We assume that the brain is producing consciousness. But how? The brain is an objective thing. It's a piece of living matter. And the last thing that you can detect when you closely study the brain, especially with modern imaging technologies, when you closely study the brain, you can detect masses of electrical activity going on, faint, delicate electrical activity going on in the neurons in the brain. That's the last thing that you can detect. After that comes our subjective experience, the experience of seeing color, of feeling pain, of tasting a cup of coffee. All of these experiences, where is the connection between electrical activity in the neurons, tiny bits of electrical activity, and say the sharp pain in the body, or the glorious display of colors in the morning sky? All of these experiences, the experience which you are all having now, of hearing my voice, of seeing the screen and the hall you are sitting in, this experience of being a self, where is it coming from? Little bits of electrical activity. This is what consciousness studies calls an explanatory gap. That there's a gap. If you Google it, one of the hottest topics in philosophy of mind today, is called the hard problem of consciousness. This is a term coined by Professor David Chalmers, who is here at the New York University Mind Brain Consciousness Unit. So this is the hard problem of consciousness. I think it has a bearing on this question of AI and human beings. The essential nature of being human is being conscious. Why human? Many living beings have consciousness. Dr. Anil Seth, who's a neuroscientist working in England, he put it nicely. He said, computers can be intelligent, but they don't feel pain. So Deep Blue, the computer which beat a chess grandmaster, is smart. A mouse is not smart in that way, but it can feel pain, and Deep Blue cannot feel pain. In fact, it cannot feel anything. Feeling something requires consciousness. And I mean, let me make one more point here. Why is it that AIs are not conscious? Let's just think in this way. The new AIs are doing something incredible. They're modeling complex features of human beings like intelligence. Intelligence is a very complex thing. Creativity is a very complex thing. and in some way AI is modeling it. Consciousness is not complex in that way. Consciousness does only one thing. It gives us subjective experience, an inner self, an inner life. That's what consciousness does. So why can't this simple thing be modeled in AI? Where the answer, we have to go back to Indian philosophy. And in Indian philosophy, in Sankhya, Yoga, Buddhism, Jainism, in Vedanta, especially Advaita Vedanta, they say that consciousness is a fundamental reality and it is not produced by matter. So if it's not produced by matter, then it cannot be, say, produced by the brain. The brain certainly has a role to play in our subjective experience, that much is clear, but it's not producing consciousness or the self. This is the big claim in many, many schools of Indian philosophy, because consciousness and matter are fundamental realities, and you cannot reduce consciousness to matter. If you cannot reduce consciousness to matter, you cannot say that the brain is producing consciousness, and therefore, similarly, some entity which is imitating the brain, like a computer, like an AI, that also cannot produce consciousness. So this is a very interesting insight. It goes to what Professor Chakravarti was saying, the big question he put out: what is the fundamental model of the human being? From many schools of Indian philosophy, the fundamental nature of the human being or of any living being would be consciousness itself. And then you have consciousness, you have a layer of the mind, the senses, and the body, and then you get us, you and I. So that's one important point I want to put out there, that consciousness is a fundamental reality. And it's interesting that AI, among all the things that AI is imitating and replicating, consciousness does not seem to be one of them. The second point I'll make and then stop is attention. This is the more practical point, not so philosophical. See, our most valuable resource as human beings is our power of attention, what we are paying attention to and how much attention we are paying to it. I remember we had this retreat in Garrison Institute a couple of years ago on meditation in different traditions, in the Bhakti traditions, in the Advaita tradition, in Buddhism, in Kashmiri Shaivism. An eminent Indian philosopher, Professor Arindam Chakravarti, he told me that it's very good that you're doing this. So teach each tradition, practice that meditation as it is taught in that tradition, but at the end, have a session in which you look back upon all these different traditions of meditation and see what is common to all of them. And we did that. And we realized what is common to these very different systems of meditation. What is common is attention. See, Buddhist meditation, the philosophy behind it does not accept the Atman, does not accept God also. And something like Kashmiri Shaivism accepts Atman, the self, accepts ultimate reality as God. But when it comes to meditation, whether it is Kashmiri Shaiva meditation or Buddhist meditation or devotional meditation on a deity or non-dual meditation on the self itself, everywhere one common factor was attention. Now, why I'm saying this? Because this is an area of special concern in the world already today, and AI will only exacerbate the problem. There is something called the attention economy. This was drawn to my attention by a documentary called The Social Dilemma. So there's a slogan here that if a product is free, then it is you who are being sold. See, our internet and whatever we use, the enormous amount of information and services available on the internet, it seems to be free to us, given gratis. But what is being sold there is our attention, because all of this is ultimately driven by money, and the more you use it, the more advertising revenue I think these sites will get. And so they want to draw your attention. This is called the attention economy. And what these social media platforms have done over the last, I would say, 10 to 15 years is that they have been colonizing, capturing our attention. They train us. Notice how much we use the mobile phones. And this is not by chance. We have been trained to do it. Uh, they have used a model which is based on the gambling machines of Las Vegas. So people get addicted to gambling because they keep on playing in the hope that maybe next time I will win something. Next time, let me try once more, I will win something. And there is some neuroscience behind it. It gives you a dopamine hit or something like that. It makes you feel better, in a small little bit better, and that itself can get addictive. Notice that if you stop using the mobile phone for half an hour, for 1 hour, for one day, you suddenly feel uneasy. Why would you feel uneasy? When, say, when we were kids, we had this only what we today call landline. There was only a dumb telephone sitting, an analog telephone sitting on the table. We did not spend our whole day with that silly machine. Only once in a while we picked it up when it rang. But nowadays the phones are continuously with us. We do our work on it, entertainment, but more than that, our attention is fixed on the phone. And that documentary, if you have not seen it, uh, I recommend that you do see it. It's quite remarkable and scary how much our attention has been captured by these phones. And what is the problem with this? The problem is positive psychologists recently, especially Professor Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who wrote the book Flow. So what they have found is the quality of our life depends on the quality of our attention. What we focus on and how much we focus actually gives us the quality of life which we have. If you intensely focus on your studies, you will find you are actually happier and more fulfilled. If you intensely focus on your work, say on your writing or your painting, something creative, you will find that you are actually more integrated, you have a richer inner life. If you intensely focus on prayer and meditation, attention is most important for spirituality. So this attention, we are being sort of deprived of this power of attention, and that is harmful for eventually for our quality of life. What AI will do is it will engage us in ever more finer ways. It is what is called the algorithmic view of the self. It tries to model our intelligence, our behavior, our thought patterns, and the more finer it is able to do this, the more it will be able to capture our attention, and for commercial purposes, not for enriching your inner life, not for giving you peace and joy and fulfillment, not at all. So this is one area which is dangerous. For one associated area is compassion. So modern positive psychologists have done experiments, and they have found that our compassion, feeling for others, fellow feeling, especially compassion for those who are suffering, it depends on our attention. So why is it that in small communities, in villages, people are more likely to relate to each other, more likely to come to the help of each other? But in a big city like this, where you're sitting in Calcutta, I'm here in New York, in big cities like this, why is it that people tend to ignore each other? We are surrounded by millions of people, and yet you have the feeling of being alone in a crowd. One reason is we are so busy, our attention is fixed on so many things related, especially to our work. In New York, they say this is a city that never sleeps, a city that never sleeps. So it's always running, and running mostly after money only. So our attention is not available for looking at the next human being. And therefore, compassion, we don't feel compassion. To feel compassion, one must first give attention to the suffering of the other person. And that will not happen if we are continuously engaged with our screens. This is what the modern world, the internet connected world, social media world is doing to us, and AI will only go further. Not that it's a fault of AI, it's actually because AI is a tool that will be used by commercial interests, and so they will only use it to exacerbate the problem. I'm very glad to note that over the last yesterday and today, you have had multiple sessions in this International Vision Seminar in 2024 on AI for humanity. You have seen what AI can do for us, the power and the benefits of AI, and the areas of concern so that we protect our essential humanity. Here, I've been hearing about AI so much in the last especially 1 year, especially after ChatGPT came out. Um, People are already using it, whether What is it, good for us or bad for us? Well, the one fact is AI is already here. I hear about people in corporate circles, executives who are already using specialized AI, which is useful for their companies. Already AI is being used, introduced in the medical field. Many doctors complain about the large amount of paperwork which they have to do. That can be given to AI, and now there are products already coming up which will take care of the clerical activities which a doctor is doing. But more than that, it can also take up diagnostic activities. One doctor was telling me how they demonstrated AI can do a better diagnostic and can read scan reports, can read the reports from X-rays and CAT scans and MRIs better than human technicians can do. So all these applications are coming up. Teachers are very worried. This is one thing I noticed, especially in school and colleges, because a lot of assignments which they give, writing tasks which they are giving, that is being done by AI. Students are happily using Chat GPT for their homework. So these are the areas of concern, and AI is already here. We have to learn to live with AI, and its conferences like this organized by Globsyn, which will acquaint us with the promise, the power of AI, and the areas of concern so that we can navigate our way forward over the next few years. Interestingly, someone told me that the the person who founded ChatGPT, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name. Um, so that person was once asked. It's on his, I think, Twitter or X account, that they asked him, uh, "Tell us one thing that you believe in which we don't know," and he said, "Atman is equal to Brahman." So it is. He is interested in Vedanta, and he says it's a very very important insight. So I'll leave you with these few insights and best wishes for all of you. I'm very glad to see that large numbers of Indians are very interested and already working in AI. I meet students all the time, students from India who are working and studying here in the United States. And so many over the last 1 year are saying that we are working in areas of AI. So thank you very much. I convey my namaskars to the faculty, the guests, and the students, and my best wishes and prayers for all of you.